the World Session for December 19th, 2023. So we're coming really close to the end of the year. And we're well into Mercury retrograde. So keep in mind that misunderstandings can occur quite quickly. So we're going to start with calming the sections of the brain, the cortices of the brain down. And we do that just by, I just connect all the cortices and I bring the consciousness of calm. So you can have a little bit of expansion. Yeah, just allowing the brain and the nervous system to expand. And I don't mean expand just to accept everything, but expand to find space to be able to listen to someone and be able to hear yourself and be able to express whatever it is, even if it's flawed. Because a lot of us try to express with very strong views of, I know what's right, I know what's wrong. We don't take into account the feminine intuition that each and every one of us has in some ways. Sometimes it's bigger for some people, it's less for others. That's fine, but we all have this ability to intuit something, even if it's really mild. No, well, I shouldn't say all, because there are all kinds of different people out there. There are sociopaths and psychopaths who, don't have guilt and don't have shame. And we want to optimize the usage of guilt and shame to benefit us. So if my guilt rises to the surface, I don't want to feel guilty about speaking what I need to say, figuring it out. I don't want to feel ashamed that I said something wrong, and now I need to come to the surface and say, okay, I said something that is not logical. It doesn't make any sense at all, and it's in mistake. It's not referring, let's say, to using a word inappropriately, like saying that sand is actually water. That's a mistake. That's a mistake. But being able to overcome the shame for those kinds of things that are actual errors in the state of reality. So just breathe. That's really important, because we often feel ashamed about being wrong, and having making an error. And we don't need to. We need to really experience making mistakes and having other people talk with us and tell us, hey, that doesn't sound right. That doesn't sound okay. Let's figure that out, and having space to be able to do it, because the other person might not even know if it's wrong or not, but they have a sense that it is. But you have this, nice conversation to figure out what's going on. Why is it that we're not quite getting this? So that's got quite a bit more to go. I can't remember the end date. You can look that up online, of when Mercury goes out of retrograde. We'll deal with that. The second thing is anger and aggression could be higher, because we've got Mars also in retrograde. Now, to me, the best thing we could do with Mars and Mercury is use my own anger to break down whatever misconceptions, misperceptions, misunderstandings I have about life. You can't misperceive something, only your interpretation can misperceive something. So whatever I perceive, but I could misinterpret. So let's say I'm seeing someone right now in the audience and I'm looking at them, and let's say I interpret their look as, oh, I don't like you, Terry-Ann. Okay, I could interpret it that way, but that doesn't mean it's what it means. And that's what makes intuition, because a lot of people will say, but that's what I feel. It's like, no, you can't feel a look. Things that we feel are the same as the animal kingdom. Our perceptions of feeling are just physical, but we tend to put them into the mind and start interpreting the perceptions that we have. Even if I look at a flower and all of a sudden I get a stomach cramp, I might go, that flower is poisonous, when meanwhile it's just something I ate 2 hours ago and it has nothing to do with the flower. So it's really understanding, well, when is it intuition? That's a whole other story. That's something that needs refinement. But the first thing we can do is really allow the gut brain to do its healing. So we're going to start with the gut brain and allowing it to heal so that we have clear, intuitive or gut responses to things, not ones that get interpreted by the mind. That was clear. I think I said that clearly. Now I'd love to have a conversation with someone to see if I did that properly. Do you agree, Bird? Okay, so Bird agrees. But I'll say that again. So here we have a gut response, but then our minds interpret the gut response. And that could be in error because the mind is going to speculate and go off into all these different directions. I know I've had, gut responses all my life. And when I try to interpret them, I make a mess. But when I just go, no, or that's not going to work out, or that's clear. If I have to start explaining why I see that and how I see it and the possibilities, usually that's wrong. Usually that's wrong. It's so much more preferable to go with the gut response. But it's not always part of what the consciousness of everyone wants to hear. So this is when the small intestine needs to select when and where. And so maybe it's not the moment to tell someone that their relationship's not going to work out with so and so while they're at dinner and they're having a lovely meal, because you don't know when that relationship will break up. And you also, just because you see the relationship will break up doesn't mean that they shouldn't be in it. That's another aspect, which brings us to the soul and the soul's journey here. If you stop people from having their journey, you stop people from, let's say, dating. It often happens to me as a tarot reader that people are dating and they say, is it worth my time? It's like, well, if you're already saying that, you have to make a decision. Do you want to stay or go? Are you ready to have this journey or not? Yeah, that's part of your process, because it doesn't mean you're going to meet the person of your dreams if you haven't gone through this journey that you're meant to go through, that the soul is taking you through. So these are things that our essential individuality needs to experience, but we don't need to impose it on others, and nor should anyone impose on me or you ideas of how you should or shouldn't actually live your life, what you should or shouldn't express. And maybe somebody doesn't like what you're talking about. That's fine. That's a moment in time where you're sitting together. I don't like what you're talking about. Okay, so I'm going to go find someone that I could talk about this with if you don't want to talk about it, or find common ground. But you're not going to stop talking about what you're talking about because this person says you should never talk about it again. That's a whole other ballgame. All right. So we're going to click this up. There's another little piece we need to do here. One is, bringing the collective and the individual consciousness to a place where it can be questioned, right? So oftentimes our collective can influence us and we don't really know why, and we don't question it, right? So yeah, but that's how all my friends think. I've seen people tell me, Terry-Ann, I think you're wrong in this instance because all my friends tell me it's like this, not like the way you're saying it. And I'm like, okay, that's one way of looking at it. But the other hand is usually when you have friendships, they agree with you. Usually you collect people around you that are reflective of your own ideas and values in life. So it's kind of interesting to have someone who would challenge them and see if they're actually valid or not, right? I have an old friend who told me how beautiful and sexy she was, and she was extreme. She's a cute person, I suppose, and she was very extreme, like very extreme in her dress, very extreme in her hair, and just the way she went around. Her mini skirts were very, very short, and kind of fat legs and stuff. So, okay, you can do what you want, you can dress as you want, but she would tell me how beautiful she is and that everybody looks at her. And I thought, well, yeah, they do. They do look at you, because I think once I said to her, don't you think your skirts should be a little bit longer? And she was like, no, no, everybody thinks I'm sexy and gorgeous and beautiful. You should see how everyone looks at me. And I was walking down the street with her, and everybody was looking at her. It was clear. But I'm 5 or 6 inches taller than her. So when I would turn to look at her, I could see the people behind, and they're all like, oh my God, da da da. Which, it's kind of my reaction to the way she dressed. So her interpretation was that everyone was looking at her because she's gorgeous and sexy. And meanwhile, it was not what they were saying. They were going, oh my God, look at her. Oh my God, things like that. And those are very clear indicators that, you know, that I'm not seeing you as you think you see yourself. Yes. So it's not proof of anything, but it certainly is a good way to understand that we misinterpret things. The other side of the coin is the person who is stared at and only sees that the person is making fun of them or thinking they look horrendous. Okay, so you got those people too, right? They see people staring and they go, oh my God, do I look really bad? Is my skirt tucked up into my, waistband? Have I got toilet paper on the back of my shoe, right? These different things. So, like really clearing up things, talking things out, seeing our own misinterpretations are really, really essential to our understanding of the world. So we're just helping the brain, as I said from the beginning, open up to be able to do that and be able to transmute our misinterpretations, be able to communicate. I'm not saying that everyone, should be with everyone. That's not the point here. The point is we can have a better way of dealing with each other, especially with openness and discussion. And there is a part of the brain that sees things from different angles. It's inside your thalamus, and we're going to activate that as well. And then we're going to bring it into the neuromuscular system so that our bodies can move in ways that it's not used to, right? We have a certain pattern as we age and develop that our bodies move, and not everyone, but a lot of us have a particular pattern. And, this is where you get soreness, you get, like the neck can be stuck, a shoulder can be stuck, those habits. Well, they're strongly linked to the mind. How do we know that? Well, the cerebellum, that brainstem there, the outside is coordination of movement of the body, and the inner cerebellum is a coordination of mind. So very cool. Every time I look at these parts of the brain, I'm always wondering, are they supposed to be connected? I haven't seen anyone's brain, inner cerebellum and outer cerebellum, coordinated together. And I haven't really been given the go-ahead that I should coordinate them together. So I don't know if they're supposed to be or they're not supposed to be, but there's definitely areas that are not coordinated in a flexible way, and areas that are actually stuck together. So if I think a certain way, my body posture might be a certain way. Yeah. If if you ever notice anyone who becomes defensive, right away there's this very robotic system. I don't know if you see this, but I see it. I literally see the brain downloading right through the mouth a bunch of defenses, and there's no connection to the heart or the gut brain. It's just a bunch of these repetitive, badly thought out ideas that don't actually have substance. Yeah, they don't have substance. This to me is a tragedy, a huge tragedy. I find it in myself as well, and work really hard to to keep questioning, so this thing that is plastic can think differently and open up and explore new topics, new arenas, new areas. I mean, as much as anyone can do. There's some people who are like super duper at this, and some people who can't even manage that energy coming in. But we can also remember there's a lot of information coming in from the collective, good or bad. So the next piece, which I'm just in the back of my mind, kind of, it keeps coming up, is we've, in our group, before I come on here, we've mentioned quite a few times that time moves really fast. And, I keep saying it, and I'm trying different techniques to slow down my thoughts so that I'm more engaged in the entire experience of life. Now, that's easier said than done. So I will bring that into this cerebellum piece where we're, less involved with the thinking and more engaged in whatever the experience is, even if it's a pain in your body, more engaged with it, because we'll try to avoid a pain in the body rather than really get in there and see what is it that needs to be healed, or what is that area of my body that would be a healer doing that, I should say, for generally most of us, is what is that part of my body saying to me, right? So we've refined the gut brain. What is that part of the body saying to me? So for this part, I'm going to tap everything first. For this part, if you want time to slow down a little bit, I'm going to work with every single organ. All the organs go through the Chinese clock. So we're going to bring a 0.01 nanosecond decrease in the communication between the yin yang of the organs, starting with liver, gallbladder, then bladder, kidneys, 0.02, lung, large intestine, 0.01. This is of a second. Stomach, spleen, pancreas, we're going to do 0.2. So this is the timing. So it's how we perceive. So as these organs are working, so let's take, for example, the liver. Liver time is 1 to 3 a.m. So here we have slowing down during that time everything that is being assimilated or downloaded into the liver, but not reducing our capacity to discard and process it. It's more of a downloading. So somehow I think what this is telling me is that we're trying to get things done a lot faster, and that's speeding up the organism, and that's speeding up time. Okay, talk about, generally, like, that should have been really obvious to me, but so getting the day done, getting things done, we tend to focus a little bit more on the external world rather than the slowness. So I don't know if I could, I don't think I can, we could just talk about this for a second, is we need to turn those eyes inward a little bit. And it, just even just check-ins during the day, just getting that habit of, let's say, every hour, taking a moment. It's just a moment. It's like 1,000. That's it. You put your hand on your heart and you're like, all right, you just check in. It does not take forever. You could do it longer, of course. But if you go, well, I didn't do my check-in, just take that moment, stop, hand on the heart, see what's going on. You might notice you didn't go to the bathroom yet. You might notice that you need some water. You might notice, oh, I need to stand up. I need to walk around. I need to take a breath. You might notice, whoa, my head's way overactive. And all you do is notice, and that will help your system slow down. We don't need to race to our deaths. Yeah, we can slow it down. All right. There you go, and have a great week. And I will see you I think next week. I didn't even check the date. Next week is going to be, well, I'll let you know. If I'm not around, I'm not around. Okay, bye.